Hey there guys, and welcome back to Dino Reacts. So I just got done watching episode 4 of American Horror Story 1984. And again, what an episode it was. Let's jump straight in guys. We're going to start right at the start of the episode. So in the last episode, it did get revealed that Montana and the Night Stalker were working together. So straight out of the gate guys, we do see how that came to be. So we shoot back to Montana. She's shooting kind of like an aerobics class. And of course, Richard Ramirez ends up being there. So the Night Stalker does end up attending her class, and we see kind of one of the guys in the class starts giving out to Montana. They want different music playing. They want, kind of more 80s Madonna type music. Richard Ramirez doesn't see that as a nice thing that he's saying. And of course, he goes out of his way to kill that guy by literally pulling his guts out of his stomach. When Montana sees that, she is delighted. She cannot believe what this guy did for her. And she pretty much goes up to him, slaps him across the face, and starts making out with him like she did in the last episode. I will say I did find it interesting how she kind of asserted her dominance in that scene. For me, I did straight away wonder, will he eventually kill her? But because of that scene, even the way she kind of steps over him, so she's higher than him when she's kissing him, it does seem like she's the one in control in this situation. Once they have sex, she kind of questions, would he kill for her? And he's like, hello, I just killed somebody for you. So she tells him about Brooke. So it gets revealed that the guy Brooke was meant to have been sleeping with was actually her brother, and Montana is out to kill Brooke for it. After that, we do kind of go to the present day in 1984, where Xavier and Trevor are trying their absolute best to save Chet's life. Chet, he does go into cardiac arrest, but they do bring him back to life, although in a tricky way. And Xavier remembers the porn guy that was kind of blackmailing him came here in a car, so they realise they can get the hell out of here if they can just get to that car. Xavier, of course, goes off to look for it and ends up instead bumping into the chef. Now for me, I was wondering where the chef was this whole time. I was kind of wondering, was she in on it with Nurse Rita, because we literally have not heard anything of her since episode 1. I absolutely loved seeing her back, and it was a great scene with her and Xavier. It was a quite fun scene to watch, but Mr. Jingles does show up. And when he shows up, Xavier gets down and under that table and tries to be as quiet as he possibly can. That scene was great. It was super tense. I did think, the chef was a goner in that moment, but she does talk Mr. Jingles round. She makes him like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and they sit down and have a chat. Again, in that scene, you see a nicer side to Mr. Jingles. You see he's not just this raving lunatic we're led to believe. Unfortunately, Xavier, he does make a bit of noise under the table and he gets pulled out by Jingles. The chef, she tries to stop him and she gets stabbed multiple times. You don't really see much of it, but you know it's her being stabbed. And Xavier gets thrown into an oven. That scene was great. Again, it was so American Horror Story to see he getting thrown inside there. He does start to burn up, his face starts peeling, his skin, all of that comes off him. It's quite disgusting, and he would burn to death if it wasn't for the chef. So she does kind of, in one last act of heroics, get him out of that cooker. He is again burned to a crisp. All his face is kind of peeling off, and she is also in a very bad position. She's dying on the ground, and in a really nice scene, a really harrowing scene, she gets him to kill her. So she gets Xavier to grab a knife and stab her until she dies, basically. And it's a very rough scene. It's not like just and she dies. He really slowly pushes that knife into her. You hear her bones crunch. You see and hear her screaming in pain until she dies. I thought that was one of the darkest scenes in American Horror Story, especially in this season, where this season is meant to be just campy fun. It was very dark. I found it quite disturbing. But again, I like when American Horror Story throws in those little twists. From there, we do get back to Brooke and Nurse Rita. Brooke is trying to escape the nurse, and she actually gets caught in one of her traps. So she gets slung up into the air in a net, dangling there, just waiting for somebody to come along. Nurse Rita reveals her plan to her. She reveals that she's the one really that's bringing Mr. Jingles back. She wants to see what happens. And Brooke, as you can imagine, is absolutely shocked. She thought it was bad enough that the Night Stalker was here. Now we also have Jingles. The whole gang of killers are all in this one place, and a lot of them are going to try to kill Brooke. Of course, the only person that could find her would be Montana, and she does. She sells the whole story of, oh, I really want to save you, I'm going to get you out of here, but instead runs straight off to find the Night Stalker, to cut her victim up. Now once Montana comes back, she also sees that Mr. Jingles is there. So we have this really good kind of Freddy versus Jason type face off with these two killers. So it's the Night Stalker versus Mr. Jingles. The Night Stalker is hilarious in that scene. Jingles is pretty much like, look, back away, I don't want to kill you. And the Night Stalker was like, screw it, I have to make a name for myself. You're already legendary. If you kill me right now, I'm not going to be legendary, but I need to give it my best shot. Brooke is hanging above them, wondering which of the two killers is going to kill her. You know, which meal will she be? Meanwhile, we have Montana and Nurse Rita fighting to the side, you know, really tearing into each other. Montana, I think, does actually win that one. She knocks Nurse Rita out, but Jingles gets the upper hand against the Night Stalker. Now before this scene happened, we did see the Night Stalker. He was doing this kind of satanic ritual thing, so I did wonder what all that meant, and very quickly we see what it means. Jingles grabs Ramirez and actually impales his head onto a tree branch. So he's dead, he's out of the running as the killer, but we do know Richard Ramirez is a real life serial killer, so he couldn't have died in Camp Redwood in 1984. As the episode goes on, we see Xavier, you know, back at the kind of cabins. He does see his face is melted away. He's quite shocked and he goes off to get help. Meanwhile, Mr. Jingles pays a visit to Margaret, and this was a meeting I was looking forward to. I wanted to really see what happened here. We do see in flashbacks throughout the episode that Margaret actually back in 1970 had asked Mr. Jingles to take care of the councillors for her. So she was kind of setting him up in a way really for him to kill the councillors and he'll get all the blame. Now, back in 1970, he didn't go ahead and do that, and Margaret does tell him when they have their big meetup that she was the one that killed everyone back in 1970. So she is the real killer of this season. He can't believe, you know, he's gone through years and years of shock therapy back at the Institute, so he doesn't remember a whole lot. His mind is pretty much mushed up, but in that scene we do find out Margaret is the killer and he does try to attack her. Unfortunately for Jingles, she happens to have a gun on her and she shoots him dead. From there we actually get Trevor, who comes in to see Margaret. You know, he tells her what's been happening. Mr. Jingles is back, all this chaos is happening, but when they look behind him, Mr. Jingles is there, dead on the ground. You know, he's delighted in that moment, the killer's been defeated, but unfortunately for him, Margaret grabs a knife and stabs him in the gut. I was shocked by that scene. I did not think they were going to kill Trevor off. That's two big characters in 2 episodes, which, you know, you do want to see, but at the same time, these are such fun characters that you don't want to see them go. Margaret does reveal to him that she hadn't killed somebody in 14 years, and it does feel good, so we know this probably isn't going to be her last kill. But as I said, it was unfortunate to see Trevor go, especially because we lost Ray in the last episode, but things are heating up. You know, this is the 2nd or 3rd episode now where they're out in the woods being attacked. This more than likely isn't going to go on for a whole season. After that, guys, we do get all of the remaining survivors kind of meet up, and they discover that the car they were going to get away in is on fire, so it's being burned out, so they're pretty much stuck at Camp Redwood. For me, the one thing I was thinking is, why can't they get the motorbike that Ray was on and one of them at least get the hell out of there and get help? But with so many killers, you know, still not revealed, there's so many little stories still going on, I'm not sure anyone might get out of Camp Redwood by episode 5. One final shock we had in this episode is the resurrection, I suppose, of Richard Ramirez. So we did see him kind of do the satanic ritual, and at the end of the episode he gets risen up off the ground, his eyes turn black. Rita, of course, wakes up at that moment and witnesses it, and we see that Ramirez is back. Now, that could explain, you know, why he's wearing glasses in hotel, but also it's just a fun addition to the character. We know he's a real life serial killer, but this is American Horror Story, and things go a lot different than we're expected. I can't wait, guys, for the next episode. I can't wait to see what happens next. You know, Margaret, I'm guessing, will be revealed as the killer in episode 5. I'm pretty much guessing that the entire night of Bloodbath will end with episode 5. But like everyone else, I am curious to see what happens next. For me, what I'd like is even episode 6 to episode 7 maybe do a kind of sequel type storyline. Skip 2 years ahead with the survivors, you know, still out there and a new killer coming on the scene. It can be a copycat, you know, it can be Mr. Jingles, we'll see. Maybe the entire season will be, you know, a whole slasher genre of sequels, trilogies, stuff like that. There has been a lot of talk, you know, with ghosts, with clones, with all this stuff, so we will have to wait and see. but I cannot wait to get into it. Next week, guys, as I said, I will review episode 5. I cannot wait for it. But for now, guys, heidi ho.